Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Sports Media. My name is Ryan Linkler. We're back with another 7-round mock draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers today. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are one of the more interesting teams this offseason. We know that Aaron Rodgers has been heavily linked to this team despite not signing yet in free agency, but it really does look like that Rodgers will be heading over there. He has thrown with DK Metcalf this offseason. I think Rodgers is just playing this situation out like he has his whole career, where he wants to keep everybody on their toes and just let the drama unfold. So that's what we're going to get with Aaron Rodgers. I have no clue when he's going to sign, but I'm assuming he's going to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It just makes a ton of sense for them. I would be surprised if another team like the Vikings makes a last-minute call to Rodgers to be their backup quarterback. I don't see that happening. I think Rodgers is the guy in Pittsburgh, and that definitely has a lot of implications. We know that Shedeur Sanders was in Pittsburgh for a visit for the NFL draft, which is very interesting as well. The Steelers hold the 21st pick in the draft and definitely could have an opportunity at Shedeur Sanders this offseason. And then we know in the offseason, too, they traded for DK Metcalf, finally getting another weapon for this offense that desperately needed one, especially after last year where George Pickens was their top weapon, and he necessarily isn't even the best separator in the world. They lost Najee Harris in free agency as well. They're still looking to figure out what they're going to do at the running back position and some of these other positions as well. Defensively, though, they're as strong as ever. They added some smaller pieces, a guy like Juan Thornhill in the secondary, Darius Slay at cornerback. That definitely helped shore up a secondary that struggled last year. We all know about TJ Watt and this interior defensive line that constantly is one of the best in the league. I think a bounce back year from Patrick Queen is in store. Peyton Wilson's a young linebacker that I like as well. So defensively, they're still in a great spot. They still have Mike Tomlin, who guarantees them an above 500 record every year. But at this point, Steelers fans are tired of hearing they are one and dones in the playoffs, and they are the most mediocre team in the NFL. So I think the Steelers fans are ready for a little bit more excitement this year, and I think it starts in the NFL draft. If they can knock this thing out of the park, get some of these players that we're going to talk about, they're going to be in a great spot for 2025. So let's hop right into this video and get into our 7-round mock draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, let's hop right into this mock draft right now for the Pittsburgh Steelers 7-round mock. Remember, they do not have a second-round pick because of the DK Metcalf trade. So let's get right into this draft and see what we are going to be looking at here and who's available for them to take. Now, you go through here in the top half of the draft, it looks like we have a surprise here. Shedeur Sanders ends up at number 3. I know we mentioned Shedeur as a possible option for the Steelers, but to be honest, I think if he is available at 21, I would be surprised. I think some team would either try to jump the Steelers after the Saints. If the Saints pass on him, clearly they had to pass on him here. But I think the Steelers at 21, that's his floor for Shedeur heading into this draft, and I don't expect him to be available. Now, Malachi Starks is available. Great player. The Steelers do have a little bit of a need at safety, but they addressed it, adding Juan Thornhill for a little bit of depth. I think they're good there. I think the bigger need is offensive tackle, and that's why I look at Kelvin Banks Jr., who is my tackle number 1 in this draft heading in. I think he's a great fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lost Dan Moore in free agency. He's heading over to Tennessee. Played left tackle all of his career. He's been really good during his time in Texas. He had his best year this year. He's only given up 4 sacks in college while having close to a 90 pass blocking grade according to PFF. I think Banks is a great pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round because I think defensively, I know they've invested a bunch of capital on defense. They need a tackle, and I think if Aaron Rodgers is the option for 2025, which it likely looks like it, I think getting a tackle is a good start, and Banks is that option because what they have right now at the tackle position is not ideal by any means. Heading into the 3rd round here, you have multiple options here. I do like Jalen Noel from Iowa State. I think he's a pretty good prospect. Damian Martinez is a guy that I want to avoid here. DJ Giddens is a running back that I really like from Kansas State, an elite athlete out of the backfield, but I don't think they are going to necessarily look at him. I think the guy that they are going to look at is RJ Harvey from UCF. Harvey was an absolutely just monster running back over the last 2 seasons during his time at UCF. 1,400 and 1,500 rushing yards. Really good PFF grades all around. He's a very good prospect who tested well at the combine. Outside of Jalen Warren, they don't necessarily have very many running backs on this roster right now, and I think adding a guy like Harvey gives them that 1-2 punch that they're looking for at the running back position. I fully expect them to address this position in the draft, and they're going to do it here in the 3rd round by adding a guy like RJ Harvey. Now, let's see who we got available here in the 4th round. You got Jaden Blue, another guy that I think is a pretty good player here available as well. RJ Mickens sitting here, definitely an interesting option at safety. Trevor Etienne, Billy Bowman, Seth McLaughlin, Riley Leonard. Definitely a lot of different prospects here, but I think the one that's starting to generate some buzz is Will Howard. And I think in the 4th round, it does make sense for a team like the Steelers, who didn't get a quarterback in the first 3 rounds, to address their backup quarterback position with a younger player like Will Howard. You know, it seems like the type of guy that would fit really well within Arthur Smith's system. He was very good at his time at Ohio State, fitting with the system with a bunch of elite athletes around him in a pro-style offense. So I think Will Howard, heading over to Pittsburgh, playing under Arthur Smith, is probably a great fit. And if they can find a way to get him in the 4th round, it's an even better value for this team than reaching on him potentially in the 3rd round. Let's see who we got available here in the 5th round. And I think it's very clear who I would be going with here. If Mickens falls to this, I mean, Kyle Williams is definitely a very good prospect as well. But I think if Mickens is available this late, getting a young safety like him who produced like he did in college is definitely a very good fit for them. 59.6 passer rating while targeted in coverage. I think that's very intriguing. You have some other players available that definitely are intriguing as well. Longer beam is okay for Rutgers, but is definitely a solid athlete that could produce well at the NFL level. Another player that's been mocked to the Steelers a lot is Ty Robinson, nose tackle for them. I think if Robinson's another guy that I look at that's interesting at this point, but I think if Mickens is available, I mean, even Kyle Williams, I mean, this is tough right now. What I want to do with the Steelers here, Isaac, nah, we good. I mean, it's a toss-up, but I think Williams, Mickens, you go get the safety, get another elite playmaker on the defensive side of the ball, and find a way to go from there. And then what do you know? Ty Robinson's available right there in the 6th round. We get him picked, and just like that, we have 2 of the guys that we really wanted heading into there. And now we get into the 7th round, and I think this is more of just what they need. A UTSA corner is always underrated. We all know what Tariq Woolen brings. I think Zah Frazier could be a sneaky pick. But the guy that I looked at down here, let's see if we could run into him. Clay Webb. Yep, there he is. Clay Webb, our guy. Smaller school, Jacksonville State, but really good production over his 3-year career there and clearly coming out of the draft. As a junior at a smaller school, it definitely means he is ready for the big times. Only gave up 3 sacks in 3 years. I think he's a great fit for the Steelers, especially in the 7th round where you're just kind of throwing flyers on some of these guys. I think finding him at the guard position would be a really good pick for the Steelers there. So basically, after this draft, you're going to see we addressed a lot of the Pittsburgh Steelers needs here. We went tackle, we went halfback, we went quarterback, safety, interior defensive lineman, and guard in this draft, and we're going to break it down right now. All right, there it is, folks, our 7-round mock draft. Let's break down each prospect right now. We have tackle, Kelvin Banks Jr. I think Banks is one of the best players in this draft that honestly is a little bit underrated. I know that Will Campbell might be the consensus tackle 1 in a lot of people's boards, but I have Banks slightly higher than Campbell due to his size, his hands. He was really good at Texas against great competition this whole past season. I think Banks is my tackle 1. I think he'd be a great fit in Pittsburgh for what they're trying to build around. If Rodgers is a quarterback or another guy's at quarterback, I think getting a left tackle is the priority number 1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the draft. As far as running back goes, you get your guy in RJ Harvey. He produced in college. That's all you need to know. He produced in college, tested well at the combine. I think in round 3, great value for them in a deep running back class. Will fare very well with Jaylen Warren. I think if he needs to develop a little bit as a pass blocker, Warren can definitely provide that, as we know his strength as a player. Warren's not necessarily an early down back, and I think Harvey fills that hole for the Steelers in 2025. Then you get Will Howard at quarterback. Gives them a young upside option that I think could fit really well in an Arthur Smith system that he doesn't necessarily have to do a bunch in. And then you kind of fill out the roster with some of these other guys, and they're in a great spot for the next season. So ultimately, though, this is going to come down to what they get out of the quarterback position. Can Aaron Rodgers elevate his play in 2025 or whoever they have at quarterback for this team to take a step in a very tough division and a very loaded AFC? Let me know down in the comment section below. Does this draft give the Steelers a better shot at competing in 2025? If you're interested in more content that we're posting a full mock draft video tomorrow for you guys. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you guys next time.